All right, so good morning, people. Good morning, programmers. Welcome to our first week in the M2 uh, module 2, rather. So this time we're going to focus on the linear list structures or linear algorithms, no, or list algorithms in Java. So, by the way, when we talk about linear algorithms, of course, we talk about the data are arranged in a sequential manner. No, most likely you are going to store data in a contiguous part of your memory. So knowing that the arrangements are into that manner, it would follow that there is really a complexity of the algorithm in a worst case basis. The maybe the inputs, or whenever we store a data in a linear algorithm, it is as a constant value of one, no? O of one, big O notation, O of one, constant value, because the moment you store to the moment you store the data into your memory or into your, let's say, your array, it's usually at the last parang at the last part or at the tail of your array. So meaning to say there is a constant value of one in terms of insertion. However, the problem with linear algorithm is that whenever you do searching, just like what we did in linear searching algorithm, it is really slow and sluggish because the data must be compared also in a linear manner. So you'll have to traverse from one location to the rest of the location in order for you to look for the value or for the data inside of your algorithm. Okay. So now, speaking of, when we talk about linear algorithm in many different programming languages, we are talking about arrays. Arrays are an example of linear algorithm. But this time, I'm gonna be showing you first the built-in dynamic list algorithm of Java. The same with what you can see or what you can observe in Python, like we have list, we have dictionary, we have sets, and we have tuple. Java has also equivalent algorithms for that. So in fact, these algorithms made by Python are also similar to Java, only that it's derived from Java, most likely. Okay. So this time, allow me to head over to our uh, Java to my Eclipse. I'm looking for my VS Code, but it seems like I cannot actually find it right now. So this time, I'm going to create a project, dynamic test algorithms. Okay. In your case, since most of you are information system students, it is only enough for you to just use them. Unlike for those who are in CS program or EMC program, not that in the EMC, but for computer science, they would really know how to create ADTs out of this linear list algorithms. For IS, for EMC, or for IT, it only enough for you to just learn the, like, it's like we focus on the how rather than knowing the what. So that's our focus. That's the focus of IS. That's the focus of IT, as well as other courses. But with ComSci and engineering, or ComEng, they really have to learn abstract data types. So later on, we're going to also do, if time will allow us, now we're going to also discuss about abstract data type in creating ADT for this algorithm. But this time, allow me to introduce to you the several list algorithms in Java. So I have observed that some of your classmates were like would have been using it in some of our formative assessments. So I just don't know if they're able to explain it, or they have been using that one for a while, or I don't know if they just got it from internet. So most likely, I really don't know. I have no idea why you use it or what. In an appropriate manner, there are also some of you who who use it appropriately, but mostly are not up in an appropriate ways. So this time, first thing that I'll discuss to you is, so this is also what they call this one. This is also seen in your, or this is one of the topics in your OOP also, no? Object-oriented programming principles. Knowing them would really make you understand the whole idea of why we have to really learn the fundamentals of data structures, as well as of course now with OOP. So let's have first one, so dynamic list. So if I'm not able to, really cover everything. So I just would like you to, explore it later on. So in the structure of Java, or in many programming languages, when we talk about the hierarchy of the classes, every time you create a Java class, it actually inherits. So that is principle number two, no? Inheritance, the ability of a class to inherit properties of the other class. Meaning to say, every time you create a class in Java, it automatically it inherits the object class, which is actually the super parent of all classes in Java. So it's the same idea that dynamic list also is also a subclass of an object class, but it's actually not visible. Okay, so meaning it's not required anymore. All right. So this time, the the presence, or the what they call this one, the presence of the dynamic list, or the advent of the dynamic list, it is present, or why it's created, or why we can take advantage of it. It's because of the drawback or the pitfalls that the array has, that the array that can offer, or what we can benefit out of an array. No? So it has been long enough na medyo, when we you use an array, a traditional array in your program, it's good because it will really help you develop your logical thinking more, as well as it will make you really understand the uh, idea of creating, making, and all of such, in such a way that you can also learn from it. Kumbaga, we can say that the most difficult things you will undergo is the most rewarding in the end. The moment na you will experience the hard way, you will also learn, most probably, no, eventually you will probably learn out from it, or out of it. Kasi nga, no, you have honed and molded your skills, your talent, and developing it in a hard way. So now, dito tayo sa, yun, going back, since array is fixed, it cannot shrink and grow its value. So you really have to, consider the its property. Kasi whenever you store so much data to it, or more than to its length, then therefore it will causes an error, or it will generate an error. So this time, we're going to discuss the built-in libraries in Java. So particularly, let's start with the array list. So by the way, array list is an example of dynamic algorithm. So, or dynamic list algorithm rather. So there is a super parent in the hierarchy of all of this, which is list algorithm. So there is a list algorithm as its super parent, and all dynamic lists that inherits it are array list, vector, linked list, stack, and I guess that's some of the few classes that inherits the property of a list. So this time, if you can see like this is you can actually put some elements here. Either you use an encapsulated class, or you're going to use a wrapper class like integer, double, or whatsoever. But this time, let's skip to this. Let's skip muna this part. And what I would like you to do is every time you create a class in Java, it must be instantiated. Okay, so let's say we have here our list. So you're now instantiating the object or the object of your array list. So every time you use this new keyword, it means that you are instantiating the object, or you are instantiating or creating an object of a class. So just like what we did in water tank, water tank, water or tank is equal to new water tank. You have created your own classes or your own class water tank, and eventually you are able now to develop or to create or instantiate an object. So just like what we have here, this array list is came all the way from java.util library, and there is actually an explanation here, no? Yeah. So every time you use it, you will need to import this kind of library. All right, because this is not a this is not under java.lang library. No, java.lang language, which are yung mga included na mga libraries dyan are usually mga math, no, like math.pow, math.abs, math.ceiling, and all of those math libraries. Okay, so this time, since this is under java.util or utility package in Java, so we'll need to import it. So yan, no? Now, if you can notice, there is here and an array list that's the same name with the array the class. This is actually the constructor. This is what constructor capable of doing. It allows us to create, instantiate an object. So that's why katong pag-create nato sa water tank, may ang water tank would have I mean the water tank, either you put explicitly a constructor or not at all, it Java will automatically create it for you. Okay, so this time, since this is an object now, and this is a built-in algorithm under java.util, you can then call the methods containing to it, or any method associating to it can be just called right after the object. Okay, so as you can see, you have here the add, yeah, add all, add, clear, clone, contains, ensure, capacity, get, plus, and so and a lot, no? So you have here actually a lot of methods inside of it. So these are the properties of dynamic list array list algorithm. So the array list, when it is created, most likely it is public. It is created like this, no, public class array list, and the methods are yun, no, add, so on and so forth. So you can then create, you can then store, add, or yeah, store. If you're going to see the doc of this add without even looking to a book or to the internet, you can just mouse over it, and it will generate a documentation for you. So this is, yeah, documentation is really important for every API or for every built-in class. So it appends the specified element to the end of this list, meaning to say, whenever you add the data to it, the array list will just append. Append means in Bisaya pa, that will parang sumpay, no, or magdungag. Sumpay lang siya sa end of the list. So meaning to say, if you have already 3 elements in your array list, then that would mean that the the next element that you will store to array list will be appended to the end of the list, right after the last element. Okay. So now later. So now we have here the add, and if you can notice, there is a boolean there and there is the array list para kayo, no, if ever na you're going to explore in the future, first thing you will need to really understand is the this one, even without looking sa internet. So you can tuluan ta mo, no, pa on in order for you to really read your program or to really understand the program or the what they call this one, the class, even without looking to any resources. So first is the array list, like this one, or the data start. So this is the add, meaning the name of the method is add, and the parameter, formal, we call it formal parameter in OOP, or in when creating a class or a method. So the formal parameter is object A, meaning to say object A is anything, any value, like it can be a number, it can be a string, it can be a character, it can be a decimal value, or anything, as long as it's when we talk about object, it's accepted. We can see the world as like we are surrounded with objects, and that's how object oriented programming works, no? We see the world surrounded with objects rather than it's structured. No, it's it should you should see the world as, in reality, I mean, we should see the world as surrounded with objects. So ito, no, any object that is given to it can be is allowed. So ito yun siya. So the method add, and it requires parameter object A. So either number or their string or etc. Now the next keyword after that is the data type. So it means that when this created, then the name of that object, or the name the method is names such that public add, a public boolean add, and then object A. So let's ano this one, ha. Screenshot muna natin ito. So yeah. So it's like I have here array list. Anyway, we're going to array list. Lagyan na lang natin ng T, temporary, something like that. So when array list is created, especially the add, it's created like this: public boolean, tapos add, and then we have object E. So it's created like this, no? And as we all know, value returning siya. So the boolean would return either true or false. Okay, so either true or false. But this time, let's just assume that it returns true. So that is actually how tagal. Yeah. So add object E boolean, and that's array list. So this is actually the a UML diagram. You're now showing a UML diagram, only that it's implemented already. Now all of the methods and operations are already created as methods. So for this one, so the name of the add is, or the name of the method is add, and then there are two parameters, which are index in the in type and object element, and it is the parameter is, or the specifier is used, that is used is void. So meaning to say, if we're going to reverse engineer this one, the other so it's void, the other method add index. So we have here add in index, and then you have here the object elements, something like that. So void in Java does not return any value. So the only thing that returns a value is if it's declared, if you use that data type, like boolean, int, double, float, long, integer, string, whatsoever. So basta it's void, it does not return any value. This will just process everything. This will just perform the structure, the procedures inside of it. So unlike when it is value returning, the method will process and reads the procedure, and then at the end of it, kailangan siya mag-return of value, which is whatever is the specifier, which is, let's say, boolean. Unlike sa Python, it can return, you don't have to specify a certain value, and then it can return many different values, which make it uh, a little bit easier, but a little bit complex. Okay, so something like that. Anyway, so that's how array list is created if we do reverse engineer the array list. So basically, most definitely, it's the same. It's the same idea sa water tank. Only that we created our own our own class, because again, water tank is not a built-in ano tawag nito, class in Java. So that's it. No, that's how you read the particular uh, method. So array list that, let's say, add. So we're going to add. So it can add. You can add two. You can add apple or anything. It depends sa inyo, ha, no? So you have here, let's say, apple. So yeah, that makes it a polymorphic method. So yeah, another principle of OOP, which is polymorphism. So polymorphism means ability of a class to have many forms. So poly means many, morphe means forms. So yun yung coin term ng polymorphism. So yeah, we have already encapsulated or encapsulation, we have already inheritance, we have already polymorphism. So ayan. Yung the SA really is an application of OOP. So we have here even, let's say, 2.5, and then if you're going to display all of it, you cannot do this in array. So when you run your program, this would display all the elements of the array list in that particular order. So we have 2, apple, 2. So what happened? Okay. Because, yeah. Yeah, before I'll proceed or while waiting, is there any question? Do you guys have questions? People? Programmers of Mapua? Do you guys have questions? Na question, guys? And so far, very good. Sige. So, yeah, this has even a what we call like size, no? This doesn't have like is empty or is full, but so it has is empty. This would identify if their list is actually empty. So if we try to revisit the is empty, you have their boolean, so it returns true or false. So you can have here like if this array list is empty or not. So empty, so empty, empty dumpy. So we have here empty if it's not empty, or if it's not, or if it is. Okay, so empty true. Whenever we copy paste this one from right here to here, of course, since we have been calling already add methods, it is now becomes false. So only that it is not going to use up all the memory of your array list because again, it's dynamic. Whenever you add data to it, it will grow. Whenever you remove data from that list, it will just shrink. Okay, so that's the work of array list. So another method is this. I'm going to give you how important polymorphism also in OOP and data structure. It's because as you can see, you have like kanina meron akong pinakita sa inyo na another method which you can actually store or insert data to it. So let's get to revisit the add. So the add, we have your index, the index or the position you want to put your element, and then the element that you want to insert in that specific index. So ito yung sinabi niya. Insert at specified element at the specified position in this list. Shifts the element currently at the position if there are any, or if there is any elements already or existing elements, it will just shift to the next current position. So we can have this one. So let's say we're going to insert this up in the apple, and let's have here banana. Okay, apple and banana. So whenever we print this one out, this would replace as yeah, by the 0, 1. So it's not actually replacing apple because apple is in position or index 1. So yeah, that's replacing apple by banana. Okay. So because you call add inserting banana at index 1, replacing apple. So this is 0, this is 1. So yeah, most likely it's like that. And there are actually a lot of list algorithm, and I'm going to leave this topic to your OOP. So kasi sa OOP, I guess matakil nyo din siya ito. Then you have here what else do we have here? Let's say that get if you want to access a specific element based on an index. So let's say 1. But of course, this will not do anything as this will not, as you did not actually put this in a display or an output statement unless you do something like, since this is an object, you have to have object data or element and then into like that. And then you can then do do something like data. So once it is value returning, it must be this put in a print statement. Pag void siya, hindi mo siya pwede ilagay. Hindi siya pwede ilagay sa output statement. Ayan. So what else you have here? Our list that clear. Yeah, just like what we did in water tank, we clear. So it's going to remove or eradicate or all the elements of our elements of this list. So you can have here index of, you can also use iterator to it. You can also use remove. So remove here is also polymorphic. So ito yung ability ng class natin, may polymorphism attribute siya or principle. So it can remove through index, pwede siya mag-remove through object. So pag index, meaning index of this apple is 1. So pwede natin gamitin yan. So let's say, I know, banana na pala ang ano ng this one, no, banana na pala ito siya. So let's say we're going to remove it here, our list that remove 1, and we're going to display the list. So yeah, so whenever we run the program, this would give you now the 1 is actually the banana is now deleted. So you can also remove like for an instance, if you want to remove a specific element without using an index, you can have just you could have do something like this. I don't know if apple is already banana is already deleted, so I guess we'll need to use apple instead. So it's like that, and it's easier actually. So easy lang siya pag in an IS na way or manner, no? Kasi we are just going to use the existing algorithm. So gagamit lang tayo, after which we can take advantage of it and apply this to a program, whatever application we are building or we are doing. We can just take advantage of whatever is existing. But that is not the case because DSA would teach us different. Okay, we create the ADT, we test it, and we create our own ADT and we test it. So we can check if the ADT works or not. So another, by the way, another, I'm not going to do elaboration on this one. Another way to, so I'm going to remove the array list. Another list algorithm that are in Java is called vector. So even I have here a vector. Yeah, before I forgot, by the way, may isang nakalimutan ako. So whenever yung kanina, let's say I want my array list to store only integer value, I will just have to put here a in between this delimiter with integer. So this would mean that I can no longer accept data which are not integer in my list. Just like in this line 16, no? Our list that add. So this time, hindi na allowed yung apple, hindi na allowed yung banana. So meaning to say, may mga bagay na hindi na talaga allowed to your life because you have already set and specify ano lang yung pwede mong tatanggapin sa buhay mo. Joke lang. So anyway, that's how it is. If you guys want to store double only, so you just have to specify here double. So by default, when you set nothing to it, that means it's an object. It can accept anything you want. Okay? So sana all you accept anything. Okay? So that's it. Okay? Another is vector. So ito naman si vector. I'm just going to copy. I'm just going to take this one out and then just declare vector. So vector is also from java.util. All I just need to do is import that one. Yeah. So there, I import na si vector. So if you can notice, it still works the same. It does not change the fact that I changed the value, I changed the declaration into vector, and my program causes actually no error. Why? Because they are brothers. Meaning to say, whenever you use array list or a vector, most of their abilities are actually the same. And that's actually the product of inheritance. No? They're able to share common properties with each other. No? So parang that's the idea of inheritance and object-oriented principle. So, isa yan sa pinakamagandang attribute ng inheritance, no? They can share common properties. So, look at what happened, no? When I erase this one, or I just, create a vector, but even without changing this one, since this is no longer our list, this is, by the way, a vector, it still works. Okay? So, kasi nga, whatever our list has as its operations, also the things that we can see as operations of vector. So, yan yung dapat you would have to understand, no? Yan yung ability, yan yung pwede na ma-benefit natin because of the pillars of OOP. Okay, so now what is it that is not in vector but it's present in array list? So let's try. So may mga several, not if not several, but there are a few. I don't know. No, may mga may mga ability si array list na wala kay vector, or may ability si vector na wala naman siya, wala kay array list. So example, I'm going to have here array list that let's say our list that ano L is supposed to be our list that I will have here capacity. Sorry, just like sa water tank, no? So that capacity. All right. So this would give us an error because the capacity is not actually an existing method of array list. Now, what if we're going to use vector instead? Okay, would it be accepted? So yes, it is accepted because vector has capacity rather than vector has capacity, and it's one of the few methods that are not present in array list, but it's present in the vector. So kahit they are sharing common properties, but they are still different. So they work the same, but there are other things that they are different. One of it is the capacity. So it's parang kayo lang din yan. No? If you have 3 or 5 or 6, let's say you have 3 siblings, you maybe have common traits or common attributes, but or characteristics, but there are really pwedeng a lot or maybe a few na one is capable of doing it while the others cannot. So may mga ganyan na mga situation. So it's the same dito kay vector and array list. So kasi nga if walang ganyan or walang uniqueness si vector, why would other programmer create a vector and you're like by create a vector and parang kinapi lang niya si array list and there is no innovation out of it. So parang that's how we can best define innovation. Like it doesn't mean it cannot be updated. It doesn't mean it works. It cannot be updated. So array list works, but it can be updated to something else, and that is why they created another one, which is a vector. And one of the capabilities of vector that array list doesn't have is allowing us to determine the capacity of our vector. So, sir, if I'm confused now because you said earlier that this is dynamic. Array list and vector are both dynamic algorithms, but why it happened that there is a capacity where in fact it can shrink and grow its size. So actually, there is dynamicity in in this list algorithms. However, may algorithm siya na pina-follow. No, may property na pina-follow si array list, the same with vector. So as if correct me if I'm wrong, but if you could like check this to a book or to a website, si array list actually is initially both of them will get, if we don't specify here, no, like we don't specify a size or capacity of our array list, this would most definitely give us a 10 as initial capacity. But we cannot prove it kasi wala ngang capacity something si array list. So this is like initial 10 capacity for our array list. So initial muna. So now, may algorithm si array list na if I initially declare 5 as its size, the array list will grow by 50%. Okay? I don't know if baka na-interchange. The array list, one algorithm will actually grow by 50% when, if, and only if it exceeds to the initial capacity. Example, I have here in 5 as its capacity. Now, whenever I added more values to it, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the array list will grow by 50%, making it having to have 2 or 3 another additional na size. That's the algorithm that they followed. So mag-grow siya by let's say 2 or by 3. So making it that the capacity now is currently 7. So paglampas na naman ng 7, mag-grow na naman by 50% siya to the current capacity, which is 7. So most likely 3 or 4. Okay? And then after which dagdag na naman siya ng additional na 4 capacity. And so on and so forth. So in terms of sa resources as an algorithm, medyo okay ang iyang algorithm because it only grow at a certain period of time and it grows only by 50%. Okay? So that's the array list. Pero itong si vector, we can prove it kung ganyan ba yung capability ni vector. Kasi we can get the capacity of a vector. Example, if we have, let's say, system that out, we have here capacity. So let's check if, let's say we have, i-even natin yung capacity ni vector. So I have here, para even din yung growth ni. So we have 6 as its capacity. So lagyan natin ng capacity para we will not be confused sa mga data na maglabas. So as its capacity, so you have 6. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Dagdag tayo ng isa, let's say 4, and then let's have here orange. And let's see if the capacity would grow to by 50% or either double. Okay? Double its current capacity. Kasi medyo nakalimutan ko yung dalawa. Nag-conflict siya sa mind ko kung if ever which one is which. We have here capacity. Let's add one more kasi 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's add one more. Orange grapes na lang. Oops. Yeah, so there you are. You can see that I have we have a proof here. We have a proof here that the capacity grows by double based on its initial capacity by 6 when it exceeded to the initial capacity. So nahimo siyang 12 from 6 to 12. Although yung current size natin, if titingnan natin yung current size ni vector, hindi natin magawa ito sa array list kasi walang capacity si array list, ha? So, tawagin natin si size dito. So, size. Tingnan natin kung ano na yung size ni array, ni vector rather. So, yung size ni vector is 7. So, naglampas na siya by 6. Therefore, mag-grow siya mag-multiply siya multiply by 2 or mag-times 2 siya. By double niya yung capacity or initial capacity ni vector. So, it becomes 12 now. So, pag lampas na naman ng capacity to 13, yung current capacity ng vector natin will become 24. So, tingnan natin if totoo ba talaga yung sinabi ni Sir Baste. Okay? Copy-paste na lang natin ito. Let's copy-paste this one from here and then let's paste it here. Let's see if this becomes 24. So, I guess lagdag pa tayo ng isa. Let's say, Ah, ano pa? Mhm, durian. Let's say if this becomes 24. Yeah. So it seems like this is the part of me. This is this is now the current capacity of our vector is now 24. Okay. So do you guys have questions? Natay mga pangutana, guys. Everyone? Natay question? Wala. Okay, sige. So let me padayon. 11:14. Now, with we have here the vector array list, no? So ito yung algo niya, but this is not actually our topic. I have just shown you the different list algorithms of Java. So now the real our real topic is actually not it's part of the list algorithm, which is stack algorithms. Stack st is equal to new stack. So si stack algorithm is also under Java that util, which is most likely parang kapatid niya rin sila arraylist and cvector. Okay? So let's erase this one. Okay? So see, tingnan nyo. So si stack pa rin siya. This time, working pa rin yung mga methods natin, although we change it to stack. Okay? Kaya lang, itong si stack, may different behavior ito siya. Okay? So, most probably, itong mga add, it's not actually originally from stack. It's definitely from vector. Definitely, vector siya. Check natin itong rlist.size. It's still a vector. Tingnan natin yung capacity. It's still a vector. So, parang walang array list, no? Parang walang original from array list. So, wala. Kay vector pa rin siya. This add, tingnan natin kung kanino siya. Kay vector pa rin. Ano yung nandito kay stack na wala kay vector or wala kay array list. So, let's see st.push. Okay? So, bakit wala? Kasi rlist pala. Rlist. Rlist dot push. So, we have here stack. So, this is something that the originally from stack, but it's not definitely from vector or it's not from array list. So, ito yung property na unique kay stack algorithm. So, ito yung focus natin, si stack algorithm. So, sino si stack algorithm? Okay? So I'm going to erase all of this. And we're going to focus now on stack algorithm. So sino si stack? Okay. So let me erase this one. So si stack algorithm has two basic operations. Number one, okay, two basic operations. Diba? As ADT, may dalawang operation siya. Number one, push. No? So adds data at the top. Okay, so there is this what we call top. So top means the element at the last, or tama ba yung grammar? Basta element siya in the last index, and there is what we call pop. So the pop method naman or operation removes element from the stack. Okay, so adds data to the stack, and yung stack, ang add, ang push, adds, ang adding, and removing will always happen at the top. So, yan, top. So, stack is a last in first out algorithm. So bakit maganda siya na i-simulate by the students? Because this is what our earlier memory, no, in terms of the memory allocation sa mga RAM natin before, ito yung mga ginagamit na algorithm, no? Si last in first out. Okay? Or first in last out. First tama ba? O yeah, basta wag na ma-confuse. Last in first out. So the last inserted element will be the first insert the first na data or element that can be removed. So example, may mga examples tayo na pwedeng we can apply stack or stack has been implemented or applied. Example, we have if you consider yung stack of bowl or stack of plates, stack of ano pa yung I don't know if like for sure you're familiar with yung lalagyan ng shuttlecock, no, sa badminton, yung cylinder. So whenever you insert shuttlecock inside of that cylinder, so it is filed at in a stack manner. So the last value you inserted will be the first value to be removed. So that is how stack algorithm is. So it's in fact, si Java uses two memories, si stack and si heap. And heap will be discussed pod as data structures our in the future. But this time, si stack ang stack is a memory that is used by Java for primitive data types. No? So yung mga primitive types lang. Okay? Now, let's focus on this one, no? Si stack and si array list. Okay? So maganda kung dito lang tayo, no, sa anong tawag nito? If we are just going to implement stack, yung gagamit lang tayo ng stack. No, for IS people, okay na ganitong level sa inyo, no? You just use the ability of a stack in your program and pwede nyo i-apply siya into whatever program into whatever parang module or unit sa program na ginagawa ninyo. So most definitely ito yung push 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 and pop pop pop. Okay? So adds data to the stack, removes element from the stack, and then always adding and removing will always happen at the top. So okay, so let's start. Natin ano yung mga operations ni stack. So meron siyang is empty pa rin. Yan. Okay. So similar kay array list and vector, no? May mga empty siya or not. So yeah, may empty and may tingnan natin if what else do we have here. So stack that capacity, meron din siyang capacity. So if titingnan natin, this is from vector na inheritance. Okay. This is capacity. And then let's have the what else? The push rather. So let's push data. So pwedeng mag-add tayo but since stack siya, yung operation niya talaga is push. So push. But then again, no one will stop you from using add instead. So let's have added here. Let's have add to here. Okay, so integer lang muna tayo. So let's have 3, 4, let's have 10, and let's have 1. Okay, so we can display the elements of the stack, st. Yan. So check natin. We have 2, 4, 2, 4, 10, 11. So initially, yung capacity niya is 10. So by initial, nag-set ng capacity ng stack, 10 siya. And then, as you can see, you have 2, 4, 10, and 1. So whenever you push data, yung value will be added or appended at the last, after the last element, which is index 1. So yeah, wala siyang differences to vector and array list instead in terms of adding data. However, mag-change siya in the way it removes data. Okay? Kasi kung si vector pwede tayong maka-remove, no? Pwede tayong maka-remove at a certain or specific location, itong si pop naman, you cannot remove. Pwede, but you will have to use remove instead. But mawala yung idea ng stack, okay? But whenever we use pop, no? So pwede natin tingnan ito, pop, sorry. Pop removes the object at the top of the stack and returns the object as the value of this function. So remove daw and then returns. So most definitely, mas maganda yung gagamitin natin for this one will be a, so let's say is remove from the stack. So yan, one is removed from the stack. Yan. So if we call it twice or thrice, let's say like that, and then we are going to display the element. So 10, 1 and 10. So 1 and 10. So ganyan lang yung idea ni stack. Now this time, yeah, question muna before tayo proceed. Merong questions? May questions tayo, guys? Do you guys have questions? I will assume wala kasi you're sleeping or I don't know what you're doing right now. Limcacho, Valeroso, Jemmy, Laonyo, may mga question? Paklar, Joshua, James? Wala?
None, sir.
Anyway, none so far. Okay, thank you, thank you. Okay. A majority of you are IS people right here, no? So, up to this level, pwedeng ito lang yung ano ninyo. Like, this is what is kumbaga parang minimum requirement or level na pwede ninyong matutunan for dynamic list algorithm or particular stack. But there are some of you here who are ComSci and EMC and kailangan nila to learn also ADTs. So this time, di ba, as I've told you, data structure is all about creating ADTs. So yung gagawin natin for this time is we are going to reverse engineer the stack. So what do you mean by reverse engineer the stack, sir? So we're going to create and simulate our own stack ADT rather than just using the built-in ADT. Kasi nga, we are expected to create APIs, we are expected to create our own ADTs, and eventually, this can be used to our program. And in fact, ito yung mas maganda and mas in terms of app development, you will really learn from it. No? You will really learn a lot from it. So, yeah. So, yung gagawin natin is we're going to create a, nakaka-record ba ito? Yeah. We're going to create a stack algorithm or stack class. Okay, so this is now the stack ADT. Yan. Alright, so sabi doon, may dalawang operations si stack, public void, push. Then let's, lang muna, let's say, yung dalawang operations muna, push and pop. Push and pop. Pop, sabi ng isa kanina, value returning daw yung pop. So int and then pop. Then, it doesn't have any parameters. Okay? So, then since value returning siya, let's assume muna na mag-return siya ng 0. Okay? So, ito yung dalawang operations ng stack. Okay? So, lagyan natin ng Java doc comment. Sige, let's say for an instance, this operation or method, I don't know how do you explain it, but this operation adds data into the stack at the top. Okay. Now, you have print data, parameter and data. You can have here at author if you want to have your author name reflecting on your ADT. Pwede nyo gawin yan. So I'm going to add another here. So dito naman, removes data from the stack at the top. So wala tayong parameter for this one, but we have a returning statement. So at return data. Okay? So author, something like that. It depends to you, no, kung may mga ganyan-ganyan kayo. But for those who doesn't know this, ano yung advantage of having this, later on you're going to show it. I'm going to show to you what is the benefit that we can get out of this one. So by the way, let's go back to array list. I mean, yung dynamic list, and then ika-copy natin ito siya. But this time, we're going to create another parang class, and we will name it as test stack. So we are going to test our ADT. No, nasi ano. Okay, so from here, knowing that we just copied it from somewhere or from a class that is existing, so basically, i-inherit niya automatically yung stack na built-in from java.util. But this time, we are not going to take advantage of any class from java.util. But so this time, we're going to erase it. And okay, so most likely, walang error, pero may error siya, pero only at the section na itong dalawa. Kasi nga wala tayong parang is empty and capacity for this one. So pero sa push and sa pop meron na. Kasi yung stack natin may push and pop na dito. Okay? So kanina hindi siya error kasi nga java.util yung ginamit natin. But this time we don't have any import statement here. So we can actually start from sige, ito na lang. So let's have here push. So, tingnan natin to prove to you na we are now currently parang yung current na ginagamit natin as of this time will be stack ADT na ginawa natin. So ito na. This operation adds data into the stack at the top, data, parameters, author, markzel, baste. So ito na yung nag-work, not the import statement na java.util.stack. So now, wala pa tayong logic with the push and with the pop. So yan yung gagawin natin na yan yung gagawa natin ng logic. So gagawa natin ng logic si push and pop the same sa built-in stack. Okay? So we'll have here a private na parang array. Okay? A private array. So parang ito yung mag-store ng mga data. Okay? And let's have here, pwedeng dito na lang din ikaw mag-declare. Here na capacity. Kasi mayroong capacity yung stack. Pwede rin na if you want to parang mas readable siya, ganito. Capacity. And meron siyang isa na top. Okay? Sorry, capacity. So ito yung mga data attributes natin. Okay? They are declared in private, so they cannot be accessed outside of this class. All right? So now, meron na tayong array, capacity, and top. Here, yung gagawin natin is we're going to create operations for our stack. But before that, gagawa muna tayo ng constructor or creator. Okay? So, tayo ng creator. Ano yung creator? Usually, ano yung name ng class, yun din yung name ng method mo. So, ito yung creator. So, this creates instance of stack ADT. So pwede mo lagyan ng ano yung ilalagay mo dito para your so let's say yung capacity mo dito is let's say 5. So pwede tayong maglagay dito that at capacity at capacity, sorry, at capacity is initialized to 5. Okay? Now, kaya natin ito at top is initialize para alam ni user kung so pwede kang mag-0. Okay? Sa other books, kung titingnan natin, pwedeng 0. Sa other books, may -1. So pero yung pinaka ano talaga is -1. The top should be initialized or declared as -1. Kasi yung -1, this would determine that the stack determine if the stack is empty. Okay? All right? So we're now going to assign our array by this capacity. So ito yung capacity since 5. So yung capacity ng array natin is 5 and i-assign natin na yung capacity ng array would be 5. Okay? So meron na tayong meron na tayong basic operations and with the ADT na creator. So this creates kasi ito yung creator natin. 'Di ba? For operations of ADT, creator. So meron na tayong creator, meron tayong transformers. Itong dalawa transformers ito. Okay. So dito yung transformers. Okay. Now, gawa tayo ng mga observers. So, gawa tayo ng observers. Okay? Paano gagawa ng observers? Just parang yung concept niya is sa OOP na getter and setter. No, pwedeng get. So, just enter get capacity. Pwede rin wala. Pwede rin diretsong capacity. Pero syempre, ma-confuse siya about ano yung capacity. Yung capacity na data attributes or ito. So, much better get capacity na lang i-follow natin yung concept ni OOP na getter. No? Observers are actually usually getter. Okay? Right. So, pwedeng lagyan natin dito ng parang return capacity. Pwedeng lagyan natin ng explanation yung operation natin. So, this operation returns the current capacity of the stack. Okay. So, ano pa? May isa pa, top. Okay, pwede tayo gagawa ng, so hindi ko nalalagyan ng this one, pero, sige, lagyan na lang natin. We're going to create, pwede ka mag-create ng get, or pwedeng ikaw gagawa, public in get top. Okay, so return the top value, and then after which, pwede mo siya lagyan ng something dito. Like, this operation returns the current top value. Stack. Return top. Okay? So now, balik tayo dito sa test stack. Pwedeng, wala pa tayong is empty, no? Yung capacity, meron na tayo. So, but we call it get capacity instead. Meron mang is empty? Wala. Get top lang. Okay, get top. So, ito muna, that stack that get top. So, the top and then the capacity. So, run natin. Yeah. So, meron na tayo. Ang top natin is currently is -1. Yung capacity natin is 5. If you try to look at it, kung tingnan nyo, yung the benefit that we get out of Java document, ito yon. This operation returns the current top of the value, the stack top. So, pwede mo privatize or parang ma-customize mo yung explanation ng isang operation mo when you create API or when you create ADT. Okay? So meron na tayong basic na getter, observers, transformers. So lagyan natin ngayon ng operation or logic itong push. So in order for us to do that, so meron na tayo, ano yung sabi daw, whenever we insert data to stack, dapat ma-insert siya at the top. Okay? So this time, mag-i-increment tayo ng top. Okay? Or pwedeng diretso sa ganito, like array top plus plus equals to data. So this inserts this assigns data at the current top value. Okay? So, pwede rin ganito. If you will do that, make sure lang na yung top mo dito would not have any incrementation. Kasi nga, pag may incrementation ka dito, top plus plus, tapos another top plus plus from -1, from 0 to 1, so 1 na ang first niya na value. May other books, guys, na when you insert data to it, wala silang i-insert sa 0. Usually mag-insert sila sa 1, no? Depende sa inyo 'yan. So pero as the stack suggested, yung algo niya is -1 tapos 0 talaga yung first index kasi array, no? 0 first index. So now that is now the push part, and then here gagawa tayo dito ng, let's say, value is equal to r tapos top, and then let's have here top minus minus kasi kailangan natin mag-decrement. So ito yung get assigns na lang. Assigns the current top to current top element to the value. Okay? And then after which, mag-decrement siya and then i-return natin yung value. So let's see if tama na ba yung stack na ma-display natin. But so far, kasi ito, hindi pa to siya working, no? I mean, this will display ito, no? Ito yung magdi-display, ito yung magdi-display sa ano natin. Yan yung live, yan yung memory address ng stack natin, 7440E464. Yan, so yan yung memory na binigay ng compiler natin. So 1 and 10 is removed. It's almost the same. Actually, the same. Yeah, it's almost the same to I have shown earlier yung sa built-in stack. This time, gagawa tayo ng isang observer na dito na lang kasi observer siya na magdi-display ng ano. So let's say public string display. Pwede ring elements, no? Kayo bala, elements. So, tayo dito ng isang third-party variable, and then gawa tayo dito ng isang pwedeng for each loop, depende sa inyo ha. Pwede rin na array. So, I mean sa yung individualized na based on index. So, you have I less than 2. So, by the way, we don't do this one kasi nga, sige, try natin kung length yung gagamitin natin. And then we have I++. And then, by the way, it would be good if maggawa kayo ng ADT, may mga ano talaga kayo dito like end of elements, method. Ito yung ma-advise ko sa inyo. Like ito, end of push, end of push. So same, you do the same for others. Now, going back here, hold plus equals to array, tapos I. Yan. And then, i-return natin yung code. Okay? So, now, let's go back to, so ito yon. Let's go back. So, ito yung loop to visit all the elements of the stack. Then, st.elements. So, elements na yung ilagay natin dito. Dot elements. So, yeah. So 2, 4, 10. So if you can check or kung titingnan natin, whenever may yung data, although hindi tayo nag-insert ng data sa fifth element, tingnan nyo guys, may 0 siya. So ito yung binigay ni array to our ng compiler natin to our array, mag-set siya ng 0. So let's say for an instance, ito yung sabi ko sa inyo na 0, 0. So much better na yung dito is hindi siya that length, but from top siya. Okay? Para whenever you run this one, yun. Yung kulang isa, so equals. Sorry. Equals. So I have 2, 10, and 1. So let's have st.push. Let's say 7. Yeah, run. So 2, 10, 7. So nagpop tayo. 7 is removed, 1 is removed. So, making it na may 2 and 10 na lang tayong natira. So, yeah, that is stack algorithm. So, it can be tricky yung stack pag hindi siya ganito na push, push, push. Kasi pwedeng like, if I'm going to pop here, yung reading of the stack could be really difficult pag ganito yung hindi na siya linear na hindi na siya push 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 like may pop na in the middle of the push, so it could be somewhat challenging na in reading kasi iba na yung like here no 2 and 10, so at this current 2 and 10. Pero since nag-pop ka, nawala na si 10. Ang nabili na lang, naiwan na lang si 2, and then 2 ang naiwan dito, 2 is 2 and 1, and then pag dating dito is 2, 1, 7. So if ever na may pop na naman dito, so na-remove naman yung 1, 2, 2 na lang, and then pag dating dito 2, 7 na lang na iwan. So that's actually the idea of stack algorithm. So obviously, may mga operators tayo na or operations tayo na hindi nakasali dito like sa observer like is empty. So yeah, pwede nyo gawin yan. For instance, public boolean is empty. So how do we know if empty yung natin yung stack is when yung empty when the top is equal to -1. Okay? When top is less than or equal to -1 or something like top is less than or equal to -1. Pwedeng ganun. Pwedeng ganito. This will return true or false. If you want na yes or no yung gusto nyong i-display ng ninyo, pwede yung string. Tapos let's say empty. Tapos, lagay nyo lang dito. Ayun pag kasi may makita. So we have here yes, and now we have no. So, kasi may nagtanong dito, yung sa, as I was checking on your mga formative assessments, na if like they understand the ADT, but how about if if yes or no instead of true or false lang daw. So pwede ito yung gawin ninyo, no? Yes or no. If yung top daw is equal to -1 or less than or equal to -1, yes. If no, so string yung i-return nyo instead of boolean. So tingnan natin dito. So now here we have, sensya na kayo ha. Wait, kasi may nagbigay ng food. So we have here, empty. So yung gagamitin natin dito is empty. Dito naman sa part na to, yung gagamitin natin dito is yung yes or no. So tingnan natin kung yes or no or true or false ba. So yes, yan. Yung isa yes, yung isa true. Okay? So yeah, I guess that's it. And there are still operations na hindi pa kasali dito and I will not what they call this one, implement all of those kasi it will be part of your activities. All right, sige. Question, guys. Mga anak, question. Question? So I guess that's it for now. Walang mga question? Natulog na? O saan naman? Ano na, guys? None? Okay, sige. So if walang question, so I guess mag-end na tayo, no? Anyway, let's have an attendance and screenshot of those na nandito. If you can show up your faces, you can do it. Anyway, wala naman siyang bearing sa scores. And this will not change your grades anyway. So, yun, I assume you have already understood and hopefully nakuha ninyo, no? And don't you worry, I have video recordings for all of those that I have. I mean, for some, for some of the lessons that I have, ano na, yung tinuro ko ngayon, but there are some na wala. Hindi siya part sa video recording. Okay? So I will just show the video recording. I mean, I will just show the module 2. I guess parang show na or viewable ko lang siya later on. Okay? So I guess that's it for now and we see each other by next week. Tama? Next week na. So yeah, that's it. And so guys, with your with your class, medyo you don't majority of you doesn't have a background in Java, so I would really encourage you to really learn the language, and it's not yet the end, to learn the language. In fact, the only way to learn the language is by writing programs in it, and there's no other way. Read and then consume more knowledge, invest much of your time by reading Java books, and eventually you're going to head on to you will really learn the language, and you will find it na ma-love ninyo ang language. So maganda ang language ng Java. This is used for app dev, and for microservices. So don't settle only on one language kasi you will not go far kung isang language lang yung alam ninyo. Okay? So I would really encourage you na you will have to really learn it. Okay? So yung sa ComSci ko wala namang problem kasi I have been introducing them Java in my discrete structures namin 1 and 2. So parang they are quite quite parang familiar already with Java. And for some sa inyo may yung especially yung sa other schools or sa mismong sa MMCM may idea na din naman sa Java. Okay? But again, don't settle on just one language. Okay? So I guess that would be all for now. Thank you guys for attending this session. Do you guys want the recording yung ngayon or hindi na? Yes, sir. I want it. Gusto nyo? Hindi. Guys. All right. Sige. So, yun na. Bye-bye and have a great day ahead. Sige na. Bye-bye. Yeah, salamat. Kayo din.